Hey guys, what's up? This is Darius coming to you from West Philly. I decided to make a movie not so much about myself, but about just like in general, like questions people ask me basically. So, first of all, a question I just got and I get sometimes is basically just relating to like how you identify after being transgender. So, obviously, like transgender could be. Um, Probably will be one of your identifications. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you just identify as a straight man and or a gay man or whatever you choose to identify as. But usually like transgender is one. So the question was basically like like so you're born female and then you might possibly like okay in my situation I was born female. I identified as like gay, lesbian, but I never liked that word very much, so I didn't really use it. I identified as mostly like queer because it was like a more general, broad term for me. So I identified as queer basically, but I dated women. So like I guess society could have seen me as a lesbian or something like that for a while. Um, but so that was what I was before, and now it's different. Now I identify as a straight male. I also identify as transgender, but I also identify as queer because I'm a straight male in the context of my relationship now with my girlfriend, who is biologically female and also queer. But if I were dating a man, I would identify as queer or bisexual or something like that. Um, but so the question was basically just like, how do you come to terms with all the changes? How do you come to terms with like how do you figure out exactly what kind of like gender presentation like fits for yourself? Which to me it's all about like, your transition's a personal experience, like your gender identity is a personal experience. The way you relate to yourself and other people sexually is your own personal experience. So I say that you can identify however you want to. If you want to be a transgender dude that still considers a part of his being to be a lesbian, go ahead. Like, I don't have a problem with that. And it's very confusing for other people, I think, that aren't trans or whatever. But at the same time, I feel like it's fulfilling for you. So that's what you should do, right? I think like a big part of it is I've heard a lot of transgender people they feel very isolated by the queer community because they're invisible because they just look like another dude probably, and they're not. Maybe they're not. Maybe if they're not a gay man and they're at a gay bar and they just like another dude, people just assume you're like a straight person unless you're like not stealth or like well known around the community or something. Like people just like assume that shit. So, um, that's kind of a big problem. Sometimes I kind of feel like that. I go to like a black lesbian party or something, and I wonder like I'm this fucking white dude that looks like a white straight dude. Partly because of the way I dress, and partly just because it's like always been my personality. So I don't know. But then I'm just like fuck it, dude. I'm just as allowed to be whoever the fuck that I want to be. I mean, as long as it's not like a women only party, like, who cares? So there's like a variety of people there, anyways. But, it does get a little bit tricky. And, and basically, I just think that, first of all, the whole sexuality, like, demarcation is basically to tell people, I don't want you or somebody like you, or this is what I want. So it's kind of just like a very like kind of outdated way in some ways to view yourself. It's useful in some ways, but in some ways it's definitely outdated. That's why I just use the term queer, because that can literally probably be like anything. Or some people use the term like pansexual or whatever. You don't have to use that term. You don't need to. Like you can be straight. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with being straight. There's fucking nothing wrong with being monogamous. Like polyamorous is great, fucking monogamous is great, whatever works for you is great. Like I understand that people, especially people in the queer community, they want to encourage you to be sexually exploratory and to reclaim your body and to like be really sex positive and everything, which I totally agree with. But I fucking hate when people tell my partner that, oh, like, you're having problems with your partner, oh, just date somebody else, just be polyamorous, why aren't you polyamorous? Like, it's so stupid. Like just the same way that I'm not gonna go tell people they need to be queer, that they need to be trans, or they need to be black when they're white, or they need to be white when they're black. Like, why the fuck am I gonna go around and tell you what you need to be when you are the only person that really knows or really can know the core of you? I mean, sometimes other people, they can give you better advice than what you can see at the time, but like if you really go inside yourself and learn yourself, you're really the only person that's ever really gonna know yourself. So why the fuck would I tell you what to do? Like, some situations work for some things. Some situations and some people you can only be monogamous with. Some situations and some people you can only be polyamorous with, you know? And it's just like it's a personal difference, just like every other facet of life. And that's why the queer community, like at large, like not everybody, I'm not grouping everybody, but some really radical queer people just really push that shit on people. And, you know, like I think it's worth a try for sure. Especially if you're like you were young when you tried it. Maybe you should try it again. Maybe if you want to, you know. But you don't have to, dude. Like you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. And that's like just the point. I think it's bullshit to be a fucking anarchist and be anarchistly correct and fucking push shit on people. You know, like depending on your terms of anarchist, it could mean a lot of fucking different things, right? Fair enough. And you know, like the new current definition of it is not like the old one. The old one, when people pull out the definition of anarchist from like the dictionary or whatever, that's not really the definition that anybody that I know that's a fucking anarchist, which is like a billion different people that I know, um, and me included in some certain ways, ascribe to. So, oh, also I started smoking again. Kind of sucks, but don't tell me what to do. Anyways, so yeah, I just think that there's this whole like controlling aspect of it that's a lot of fucking bullshit. And but also I realize the roots of it, you know. I think if you're polyamorous and, you know, that wasn't very a popular movement at first, you know, and all of a sudden you have all these monogamous people telling you you're fucking sinful, telling you all this shit, it really makes you want to backlash and be like, actually, this is the fucking best shit ever. You know, you just like hype your shit and you promote your shit. Like you promote your polyamorous lifestyle so much and you are so like anti everything else because you've almost been backed in that corner where you have to be, right? And I understand that. It's the same way with like, you know, like religious people pushing shit on atheists and pushing them into boxes, and it just makes you want to like backlash basically. Or, you know, straight people pushing gay or trans or queer people into boxes or whatever. Like I understand the whole anti position, and I definitely a whole part of my like personality has to do with the anti position, but not so much just to be anti, but through some of my like more negative like anti like thoughts back in the day, I've developed some more positive thoughts out of that. And so yeah, I mean, I think it's just that there's like not a lot of education and and there's a lot of uncertainty around you know, what it means to be trans, what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman, what is expected of you in society, what roles should you play, what surgeries you need to have, what you know, what queer factors do you need to display to still be in the queer community even though you're trans, um, what you know, what straight factors do you need to have to not to just throw your past away, and just be a straight man and not and be stealth and not identify as transgender or anything like that, you know. And I just think it's a lot of bullshit because I really think that, you know, like the only way you create positive change in this world is figuring out yourself and doing what you want, you know, trying to do stuff that's positive from it. There's a lot of negative things that I think make you really pissed off, but at the same time, you can always have reaction to that. But I think it's kind of a slippery slope when you try to force your ideals on other people, because you're just reciprocating the exact same force and standards and boxes that were put on you, when basically you just popped out of your mom's vagina right into the world. There was already standards you needed to have. Right in the world, they smacked a name on you, they assigned you a gender, they gave you, pink or blue clothes, like right as you took your first breath. Or even before, when they decided your gender, you know, um, and you had a little picture of you in the little baby X-ray or whatever. like they they already had their idea of what you were going to be. And so I think in general the most important thing for everyone to do, not just trans people, not just radical people or anything, is just decide what you are going to be for you and not for anyone else. And that's all there is to it, really. I mean, the more you put that in your head before any other thing, it doesn't matter if it's in terms of religion, being trans, being a different sexuality, even weird, like, not weird, but like different, very different, like fetishes or something like that, like, it's cool. If that's what you want to do, as long as you're not hurting anybody else, do it. But, yeah, I just, it's a very big debate, but I think if my way is pretty simple. It's called, if you want to do it, and if it doesn't really hurt anybody else, then do it. Believe what you want, basically, and do what you want. And that's like the only way to really be happy in life, anyways. But, I think like educating, like other people that aren't trans or straight people is good as well. I don't feel like you have to. There's nothing that makes you, responsible for their education. But at the same time, if you want a better place and they're being respectful and they're coming asking you these questions that may not be the most like PC oriented questions because they're not in the queer community and they're not fucking exposed to that. So you can't really put them at a level unless you give them a link, give them an article, give them a fucking video, something, like they wouldn't know. I mean, this is not a new thing, but it's a new-ish thing. Like, people started doing it, and the first person that I know of that was transgender was like 1927, and then after that it was like 1950 or something like that. It's not a very old thing, So, I mean, there are instances of people who could be considered transgender much, much before that. And obviously there were twin-spirited people within the Native American community, but in this, in these past, like, century or two, like, that's all that really can be confirmed. But, this idea and feeling has been around since the dawn of time. I'm sure it's not a new thing. The surgeries are a newer thing, but surgery in general, in Western culture is semi-new too, because we're not leeching people or bleeding people out anymore, so that's also pretty new. I mean, I think it really just helps to really know yourself, have a good sense of perspective on your internal beliefs. I also think that's kind of important before you start transitioning, because there's some people that might make a wrong decision and decide that it's not for them, and that's totally also part of what it means to make your own decisions. And yeah, I also, I just think that the most important part is being very, very firm in your beliefs, having convictions with your own self, knowing what you believe in and how far you will bend one way or the next, and also being open to at least listen to what other people have to say, in some way, even if you disagree with it. I think it's stupid. Um, Respectful people, I mean, not assholes. Don't listen to assholes. Just curse them out and go on your way, or ignore them. But basically, I just think it's really important to know yourself before you do anything that's life changing. And I think more importantly is that you demand respect from people. And you're not going to get respect from everybody, but you demand, if they don't respect you, you make it very clear that that's not cool with you. You demand respect from people. You take respect from people. You do not ask for respect. You fucking go out there and you get what you want. I believe it was Malcolm X that stated, I don't remember the exact quote because I'm kind of a stoner at this point, but something to the tune of, after a certain point of, trying to get along with people, trying to make things work with people, um, sometimes you just have to go in there and you have to take what is yours. You are a man. You are not made to, and that includes women too. You are not made to live on your knees. You are made to go down fighting. And I think that's exactly the way that you should orient yourself in terms of something that's really important to you. As a human being, as a life form on this earth, you deserve respect. um, I expect respect in all my employers wherever I go. I do not expect people to misgender me, to give out my real, or not real name, but legal name without permission. I don't expect that. And so far, I've always had great employers. I've never gotten that. I've always had people who are 100% positive and very, very respectful about me being trans. And that's exactly because I don't really fuck around with that shit. That's the only thing that probably pisses me off, and it hasn't happened yet. But I will just tell people, like, this is my body, this is my brain. You don't have shit to say. I do not. This is not an opinion that I need to listen to from you. I do not care. I could give half a rat's ass about what you think. That's also because part of why I'm so strong in my transness is because, before that, I learned a whole lot about anarchism and punk and stuff like that. And that actually, you'd be surprised how well the trans and learning about punk ideals and beliefs and everything go together, but they really do. Because once you start questioning society and how things are, and why does the government get to tell me that this is wrong if I think this is right, then I should be able to do it. That makes sense to me. As long as you're not hurting anybody, it doesn't really matter. Like, if I want to do some mushrooms or some acid, it's really not that whole much you can do about it. You know, that's like a personal decision. If you understand the risk and everything and whatever, you're doing it. So I've always really not really taken a lot of belief in authorities or people that are experts on the subject, or that tell me this is the way I need to do, or that tell me I have this pathological condition because I'm gay or because I'm trans. Or that's the same shit they used to use on people, for racist reasons. It's bullshit. It's all fucking bullshit. And the more that you explore that, the happier you will be. I kind of got off topic, but I think I touched on 3 or 4 topics that I was kind of trying to talk on for a little bit. So hopefully, you got something out of what I said. I didn't get as specific as I meant to get, but I did touch on a lot of topics I meant to touch on. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions that are intelligent and respectful, please send them to me. If you don't, I will put you in your little place like I always do, and I'm very good at it. So, anyways, have a good rest of the day, and cheers from West Philly.